Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jessica Wright, and I want to talk about the sun. it's, the sun is such a beautiful thing. We live in Texas, we get a lot of it. Actually, Houston has some of the sunnier days, the greater number of sunny days, along with Denver and a handful of other places. We get the majority of sunny days. So, one of the things that happens when the sun comes out is that if you have been indoors, if you have been in a cold climate where you haven't seen the sun for very long, you walk outside and it makes me feel a little bit like I'm a plant. I turn my face up to the sun like I'm a flower that's looking up at the sun, right? It can be very comforting. People who live in those cold climates or places where they don't see the sun can sometimes suffer from seasonal affective disorder, which, is a lack of basically it's a lack of sunlight, a depression that settles in. The sun can be a very comforting thing, and it can, make you feel warm and delightful. But as many of us Houstonians know, the sun can also be overpowering. You can grow hot, you can grow uncomfortable, you can grow miserable, you can get a sunburn. Too much sun, too much heat and too much sun gives you a heat stroke. Skin cancer is a real concern for those of us who live in sunny climates, right? We have to make sure that we are careful to guard ourselves from the sun. So too much of it can really be a bad thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how some of our reactions that we might have to anxiety are, they're good things, they're comforting things, they're wonderful things, but if they are done in excess or too much, they can become harmful. So we're going to talk about soothing behaviors and red flag behaviors, right? And I put up at the top, you've seen at the beginning of every session, the disaster distress helpline. This is from the CDC, and it's a number that they're giving out as anyone who wants who's overwhelmed and wanting to talk. It'll be at the beginning of all of our sessions. But, one of the things that to look for in our behaviors during this very stressful time are these red flag behaviors. And so we're going to talk about how similar and different they are from our soothing behavior. So a soothing behavior is something that you're going to get a temporary relief from, and it has no long-term negative or positive consequence. It's just a neutral outcome. So the behaviors we talked about last time, about those reset buttons, drinking water, going for a walk, connecting with another person, those have positive long-term outcomes. Those are positive. Sometimes there are things that we do that don't have necessarily a positive long-term outcome, but they make us feel better now. And we're going to need a lot of those in these crazy times. So red flag behaviors are things you get temporary relief from, but they are harmful over the long term. And there's really a spectrum because the behaviors can look the same. So taking a nap, food, alcohol, TV show, games, listening to a podcast, listening to an audiobook or reading a book, looking at social media, looking at positive things on social media, all those things can be soothing, but it's on a spectrum. If done too much or too often, or they're causing harm, they can become red flag behaviors. And I'll be very specific about that in a second. But one of the easiest ways to know if what you are doing is a red flag behavior is if you're hiding it. So I don't know if you have any children, but one of the ways that they know that it's wrong is if they're hiding, right? If they're trying to squirrel it away. So if I, eat a cookie at dinner in front of my family, because I want something sweet to make me feel better, right? That's not a bad behavior. That's a soothing behavior, right? But if I go hide in the bathroom and eat a box of cookies, that is a problem. Another way to tell if it's a problem behavior is one of these red flag behaviors is if you're getting defensive about it, right? If someone says, hey, Jess, why are you eating a cookie? And I go, I'm not eating too many cookies, you're eating too many cookies, right? That's a giveaway, right? That you're being defensive about it is a giveaway that maybe this is not a helpful behavior, right? Another way to ask yourself, is this a red flag or is this just me soothing, is, are there negative side effects, right? Drinking too much is going to make you have a headache the next day, right? Or be sluggish at work. Are you drinking too often? You might not be as sharp as you are, right? So doing these things, playing a game to relax, watching a TV show to soothe yourself and disconnect from the hard times that we're going through. These are perfectly acceptable behaviors, right? These are good behaviors that give us relief. They give us temporary relief from this underlying current of anxiety we're all feeling. But if they're done too often, or they have these negative side effects, or they're in any other way causing you harm, you need to talk with a professional. There's all kinds of different professionals that you can speak with, including the disaster distress helpline that I've listed above. So last time we talked about doorbells and we talked about our reset buttons, and we're going to add 2 new columns to this. We're going to add soothing behaviors and red flag behaviors. And remember the difference. A reset behavior, it actually helps you in the long term. So watching something beautiful, going for a walk, connecting with a human, these have long-term benefits. So soothing behaviors don't have long-term or short-term, they have short-term impact. They definitely make us feel better right now, but they don't have any positive or negative long-term outcomes. Red flag behaviors have negative long-term outcomes. So they'll soothe you right now, but over the long term, they're going to hurt. And so there are things to look out for. So examples might be soothing behaviors might be snacking, napping, that you limit the amount of time that you watch the news, and just get your news and your updates from credible about avoiding behaviors, right? Come red flags. So it's sort of the same flag, right? Eating it all, having a daily bottle of wine. Wine is a lovely thing. Having a daily bottle, dry classes on the science of attention and engagement device is like behavior, extreme numbing sensation. And so your brain is essentially becomes in social media. Again, gaming all day might be a red flag. Is to make a list. So you know what? When I'm stressed, I want to blank, right? A glass of wine. For me, I like dry apple cider. I want an apple cider. What is your go-to soother? And then what are your personal red flags? So this is different for everybody. You know, I made the example about a box of cereal and I hit all in one sitting, right? And one of the things I learned about myself is that I can't be trusted with boxes of cereal because behaviors like this are very personal, right? So for some people, having a box of Honey Nut Chex cereal in their house is in no way a red flag behavior. But I've told my wife, if you see me coming home from HEB with a box of Honey Nut Chex cereal, you need to ask me what's wrong. That's a huge red flag behavior because it's something that I know about myself. So really think to yourself,